Welcome everyone. It's an honor to introduce Dr. Oshin Bhatia, who's INI-CT Rank 2. He's a student from AIMS Delhi. He's currently doing his internship there. And during his internship, he's secured this excellent rank. So congratulations, Oshin.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So, Oshin, I'm sure you were expecting a good rank in the exam, but what was your first response when you got to know that you've got rank 2?
Yeah, it was quite early in the morning when the result came out. It was supposed to be out yesterday, but due to some lag or whatever, so I was in my sleep when a couple of my friends called up that the result has come out. So actually, it was quite. I was quite happy, and I called my parents. They were happy too, and yeah, it
That's
was good, great experience.
so
Yeah.
you come from a family of doctors. What was their reaction like? I'm sure they must have been ecstatic, your parents.
Yeah, my parents have been supportive throughout, and yeah, and themselves being doctors actually helped me a lot during my 5 years to ease down the pressure upon me and have good insights into the profession in general and all the paths ahead. So it was quite good that to be from a family of doctors, and yeah.
Mm, perfect. So, Ocean, tell us about your preparation strategy, and I want to start right from first year. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Um, how did you go about preparing in first, second, third year, and when exactly did you become serious about preparing for the PG entrance exam?
Yes, sir. So throughout my professional courses, first, second, third profs, I have been consistent upon reading standard textbooks, uh,
Mm,
going approach based in the clinical subjects, and being thorough with all the topics in the first and second professional for the first and second professional courses. And I was actually quite serious about preparing for the PG prep only in the internship when I took up the plan C of Marrow, and then I watched some of the videos, and I did a lot of question bank questions and tests, grand tests in the mock test towards the end. So that has been the rough
right.
outline for me for the whole PG
So
prep.
first, second year, when you told me that the students want to know that, are they just toppers who are getting top ranks, or what kind of a student were you in the class? Were you a topper all throughout?
Yeah, I was doing quite well in my exams, and but the
Okay,
main point was going thorough with the concepts and not just mucking things up for the
sure.
exams. Yeah, because
So
there are a
would
lot of yeah.
consistency would trump mugging up more facts, and
Yes,
consistency and getting more concepts into your brain.
yeah, concepts are really important because this time the kind of options we had for
Mm,
the questions were from the common topics, the simpler ones, but the options were quite tricky, and so
right.
that made the paper moderately tough, I would say, because yeah, on
I'm
just going through the paper, it looked like it was a simple paper, but no. Uh, the options were very tricky, and only a good concept base could help me getting through so much right answers. Yeah.
Perfect. How much importance would you lay on going to the clinic and attending your internship properly
Yeah,
for this INI-CET exam? In general, the changing pattern. How important
yeah,
is it?
definitely. There are a lot of clinical questions, and the clinical questions are approach based. So getting a hang of the clinical postings and getting to know how you actually go about seeing a patient when the patient walks up into the OPD or in the ward. So the approach based nature of the questions being asked, especially from the clinical subjects, and second, the procedural skills and the instruments which are there, which are asked. So that all
Hmm.
comes with your uh, good good regular exposure to the clinics. So going to the postings throughout your professional and in the internship was very I mean, it always has been for important for the AIMS entrance, and it was quite the same this time also.
Perfect. So before we move forward, what you've told me till now, I'll just summarize that. He said that he read standard textbooks, focus on concepts, and according to him, clinics and internship, working during internship is very important. Right, Oshni?
Yes, yes, sir.
Perfect.
It all comes with your own your studying at home, the theory and the notes part, but the clinics go hand in hand.
True,
Yeah.
true. Okay, so another thing which I want to know is that you said, and I'm sorry I missed that point, before you took up Marrow, for those years, did you make your own notes out of reading out of textbooks? And how were you going about your notes? Did you take ready-made notes or did you make your own notes?
Yeah, for around half of the subjects, like especially for the clinical subjects, I made
Hmm.
my own notes so that I had a set of material which I could thoroughly revise in
Good.
around 2 weeks per subject in my internship. And some
Right.
of the subjects in which I was comparatively weaker, like ophthalmology, surgery, the surgical subjects, I
Hmm.
went through the videos of video lectures of all these subjects, 3 4 subjects, and I practiced the question bank for many more subjects. So that was my approach, having having a set material for me to revise through in the internship, and just focusing upon the weaker areas where I could go back to my standard textbooks and get thorough with my subject.
So another very important point which you've highlighted, and this was again reiterated in the morning interview, was that you finished everything by the end of final year. An internship you basically kept for your revision.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
So
yeah.
yeah, so revision is actually very important, because when I started my internship, I first of all I came to realize some of the topics I even hadn't touched upon, because
Hmm.
those are the topics which are apparently not important for professional exams, but they do come in PG entrance. So this was especially true for the clinical subjects, as I highlighted out the surgical aspects, which are a lot of like approach based, a lot of
Right.
gradings and stagings are there. So that
Hmm.
was the point. So yeah, but so it took me 2 to 3 months extra during my internship to just go through the basics, which I hadn't even touched upon in my previous years. So I
Okay.
do think that approach based the approach based reading of clinical subjects really
Hmm.
helps.
So, you've mentioned a very important point. Like all clinical subjects are evolving all the time. There are new
Yeah,
updates which are getting added.
yeah.
So, how did resources like Marrow, in terms of their newsletters, updates, pearls, help you in covering up those updates, which are quite frequently asked in the INI-CET exam and the Central Institute exams?
Yeah, so just to take an example, on COVID-19 itself, there were around 5 to 6 questions in this exam. And
Right.
so, as regards that, the updates, the Marrow newsletter, we had around 15 to 16 issues weekly, fortnightly issues towards the end of the exam, and so that really helped me to get through. And the pathology edition update. Yeah, talking about the updates in clinical subjects, this time itself, like on COVID-19, we had around 5 to 6 questions. So I would say that importantly, the newsletter, the fortnightly newsletter for Marrow, which came towards the end of my preparation for the PG exam, it was quite helpful in a way that I got to know what all updates should I, refer to. And just like we had a 10th edition of pathology just released
Hmm.
during our internship, so we couldn't go through it, like we couldn't read
Right.
all of it. So that actually helped me. And in the question bank also, they have that thing of like a recent update tag below it, and you can bookmark it, and it just get repeated, and you can revise it well in time. Yeah.
Perfect. So the next thing which I want to know is regarding the QBank and MCQs. Okay, a lot of students don't know when to start MCQs, how many MCQs to do. So when did you actually start doing MCQs seriously? And what was your frequency like? How did you approach the QBank modules? If you could just tell the users about that.
So I had a time of around 10 days to 2 weeks fixed for each subject, and I had a target in my mind of solving at least 70 to 80% of the question bank. And the great thing about it is that, first of all, it's arranged topic wise, so I can read a topic and just go back to the question bank and just get a hang of all my weaknesses and all the important points that I missed. And the particular thing I like about it is that the explanation given with the question bank is quite crisp, and the bookmark feature, which helps you to take down all the questions for a revision, a good thorough revision in the end. So I tried to finish a lot. I couldn't finish all of it, but I tried to finish. I do a lot of question bank till the month of August. Then I could revise it, the bookmarks and all after that.
Sure. So you've highlighted two, three very important points for me, and I just want to, emphasize those. One, you said that you had made a plan for each subject. You had kept 10 to 12 days for each subject. So again, what he's highlighted is consistency. That he had made a plan, and he stuck to that plan, and he was able to do all subjects. So that is one. So point number two, which I want to highlight, is that you said that you did not do all the QBank modules. You just did a certain number, but still you were able to achieve your target. So how did you manage the QBank modules? What I want to know is that did you keep a figure in mind that, supposing, if I don't get these many questions correct in a QBank, then I'll go back to my notes and videos, or if I get back to my notes or videos. So did you have some kind of a gauge for you there?
The fact that I couldn't complete all of my question bank, so I got around with it by giving the subject wise tests, which helped me get an idea of all those topics which I was weak in, and then I could go back to those topics, because the Marrow question bank was like arranged topic wise, and it's beautifully arranged that way, and so I could just focus on the topics which I was weak in, and then complete those topics in the question bank, and then move ahead with the next subject. So giving the subject wise tests, and there's also a feature of getting a rank, like predicted rank for the subject wise tests. So that helped me a lot.
Right. And what about custom modules? Did you use those custom modules as well, which a lot of users have found them useful in terms of making a customized test, and then
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Towards the end of my prep, when actually I saw that I had accumulated a lot of bookmarked questions, so I was finding hard to revise all of them. So
Yeah.
then for that I used the customized module, like getting the bookmarked questions together for each subject, picking out those and solving those. So yeah, for the revision part, I used the customized module feature.
You said that you watched the videos for some of the subjects as well.
Yes, sir.
Which were the subjects which you liked in Marrow? Any particular faculty whom you would want to mention?
So yes, sir. I watched some of the pharmacology videos, opthal videos, surgery videos, and
Hmm.
yeah, most of the and biochemistry videos. Dr. Rebecca Jain. I watched almost all of biochemistry and surgery.
Any particular question which you have in mind, or anything which you could correlate from the video and it came in the exam, and you could use that to
So yes, sir. For the
users?
yeah, for the surgery part, the Strasbourg
For
classification
any,
was,
any subject. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, the Strasbourg classification which I had put it in my notes, and I had written it separately in in my short book, and so which I went through the very last day, and it came as it is. So yeah.
Perfect. So, Ocean, also tell me that how did you distribute your time during your internship in terms of how much time went into revising your notes and doing questions? And as the year progressed, how did that percentage of solving questions versus revision of notes change? Because this is a very common question which students want to know.
So I had in my mind to complete my first reading by July, mid-July to mid-August. So
Hmm.
I managed to complete it by end of July, and then I could devote my time to revision. So during the initial 7 to 8 months, I got my notes ready, and for the revision part, yes, I went through all my notes and I solved the subject based tests and grand tests and the previous mock tests and the two mock tests which we had in the very last week.
Okay. And how many grand tests were you doing usually?
Yeah, I was keeping a target of solving at least one grand test in a month, starting from the month of May, and towards the end, I kept solving mock tests, and in the end, I solved around one test a week for the last month.
So, May, when you appeared for your first grand test, what was your rank like? Do you remember your rank when you appeared for your first grand
Yeah,
test?
in my first test, it was around 80, 80, and
Okay.
all through the next grand test and the previous mock test, I kept on improving from 20, then 8 and 5. And in the
Sometimes,
Marrow,
did you ever felt stagnated, that your performance had stagnated? And I'm sure all of us, when you're preparing for
yeah,
exams, sometimes that happens. So what do you do when you feel that your performance is stagnated? How do you then go and take the next step? That is
yeah,
another thing that students would want to know.
Yeah, I felt that around the month of May to June when I thought that I had read more than half of my course, but still, even the topics which I had read, I was not thorough with them, and I was doing a lot of questions wrong from them. So then I thought, what kind of questions I am getting wrong. So some of them were recall based. So I then thereafter I planned to have some mnemonics and some certain tricks to keep keep a track of all those things, and I made a point to regularly give grand tests and evaluate all the questions which I getting wrong and focus on the specific topics.
When this INI-CT exam was announced, did you
Yeah.
get disturbed that, it's a new exam, the pattern might be very different? Did it bother you a lot? And how did you cope with that?
I actually like the concept because I was planning to prepare for AIMS and to appear for AIMS and PGI both. But towards the end, I had my rural postings, which are quite hectic. So I thought it was good to have a single exam. I won't have to, solve the previous years of the PGI. And so I took it that way, but it was all because that I had my postings coming. And so I thought one exam would be good, just focusing on that.
Okay. Perfect. So, Ocean, I know you've got rank 2. It's a great rank. But for helping out others, if you have to now prepare for the NEET exam after 2 months, what would be your advice to students,
Uh,
your friends,
if,
your colleagues?
yeah, Assuming it's around 2 months, I would say that all the notes can be revised once again, the notes of
Okay.
all the subjects at least,
Right.
and give grand tests every week to every 10 days, and just go through the topics which you're getting wrong on
Hmm.
those. Yeah, so grand tests and a revision of notes is a must,
So
and you
what you're
can
saying
focus
is
on.
revise notes,
Yeah,
do grand tests once in a week, 10 days, and
yeah,
do subject-wise tests.
yeah. Subject-wise tests from the subjects which you find you are weak in.
Perfect. Perfect. So that would be your advice for students. And the second thing is, in these 2 months, um, 4 or 5 tips. How can they deal with mental stress? How can they remain motivated?
Yeah, it's all about managing your time, because if you fix that you have to study for at least 2 3 hours no matter what happens, so then you can at least keep going throughout the time. And so keep having a good time management schedule and jotting the things down well in advance, because it happened with me that I planned a lot of things that I would go through, but towards the end, towards the last 2 week or so, I thought all that had piled up, and so I couldn't get around. So having a decent time schedule for the next 2 months would be helpful, and going through the updates, that would be helpful. And yeah, uh, and yeah, also giving focus to your health and mind, that is important in these times. So
True,
exercising and
true, true. So, what were your co-curricular activities? How did you manage time other than studies?
yeah, I had been reading certain books, novels, and playing table tennis, and and just and jogging and all.
Perfect. One more thing which I want to know is that look, no one can be consistent all throughout the month. You know, there would be good days and bad days.
Yeah,
And you do your internship, you'll probably have a hectic duty. You might not be able to study after that. So how do you bounce back if you've had a string of bad days when you haven't been able to study? Can you share some tips with the
yeah.
students?
Yeah, I had a lot of such times. Then I would just sit with a grand test, solve it, and I would see that how much I remember, or and then go through my weaknesses and all. So giving grand test was a way for me to get out of those doubts which crowd up your mind when some of the days go bad.
So I think so that's a very consistent reply which all toppers are giving, that whenever they used to feel bored, dull, or unable to study, they used to sit with a grand test and they used to start solving that grand test. So that's a very interesting tip which you've shared. And on that note, I think so. I would just summarize a few points which Oshin has said. So I think so. The biggest thing which I could take away from this interview was that he was very consistent. Time management was of paramount importance in his preparation, and consistency and time management, those are the two things which I think so everyone should learn from him. Ochin, once again, heartiest congratulations, and
Thank you
we
so
wish
much,
you
sir.
the best for your career in future.
Thank you, sir.
Any parting comments from your side?
No, sir. I would just like to say that just have a trust in yourself and get the things right. Keep your mind open and look for all what is happening around you. Attend your clinical postings and revise your notes. Give tests
Perfect.
and all the very
All right.
best for my juniors. Yeah.